Hello and welcome back to the Wellness Check. Today I'm going to talk about something new, something that I've never discussed here on my YouTube channel before, and it is something that is very important clinically, that can come in very handy for those who are not yet ready to start EMDR or Brainspotting. And I wanted to share what this method is and how it could be very helpful and appropriate. And in order to do that, I need to answer some questions. So some of those questions might be, why would I not be ready to start EMDR or Brainspotting? Katie, we hear you talk about it all the time, incessantly, how wonderful it is. Why would I not be able to start? What would be like the indication for that? Well, there are some reasons why EMDR or Brainspotting or any sort of trauma processing at all would not be appropriate right out the gate when someone comes to therapy, even if they're presenting for needing trauma work done. So when we talk about trauma processing, what we're talking about is something that has happened to someone. It's an experience, an event, a memory of some sort where something has happened. Something tragic, something scary, overwhelming, traumatic, you name it, something has happened. So this could be something like parents going through divorce or losing someone, someone passing away. Maybe it's relationship issues. Maybe it's abuse of some sort. Maybe it's an eating disorder, right? Something that has happened and the person is struggling interpersonally and within their relationships and their workplace. Maybe they're having nightmares about it, you name it. These are the things that we've talked about so far that are very appropriate for EMDR, Brainspotting, or even just talking about in the realm of trauma processing. When we're talking about this method, what's called DNMS, this is something that's appropriate when things didn't happen. Okay, so let me kind of clarify. When things haven't happened that were supposed to happen, particularly in one's childhood. What does DNMS stand for? Developmental Needs Meeting Strategy. It's a mouthful. Just like EMDR is a mouthful, so is DNMS. This is a method that was invented by Shirley Jean Schmidt, and she is an EMDR therapist as well. You can look her up. She has lots of YouTube videos. I'm not sponsored or anything by her, but she's just a wealth of information. And she came up with these protocols to help individuals work through things that haven't happened. So things like, when in childhood in particular, developmental needs, parents and caregivers being attuned to their children when those things have not happened, that leaves kind of like an empty space, right? When there are other childhood developmental needs that are not met, like emotional safety, emotional maturity, appropriate boundaries, if things like neglect happened, they just weren't very present to any sort of degree that's impacting on the child. These are the things that we call like the absence of care, the absence of attunement, and they represent a very different type of trauma, if you will. And they get stored in your brain in a different way than the things that did happen. The abuse or the car accident or the divorce or the death, right? Those are the things that did happen versus didn't. That's kind of where we're going with this. So someone that's coming in with a lot of childhood unmet needs, the things that didn't happen for them that needed to happen for them, this is where DNMS is very appropriate and helpful. If someone comes into therapy wanting to do EMDR or Brainspotting or talk about trauma and try to heal from it, when they also have a lot of attachment wounds, which is what we're kind of talking about here, these unmet needs, it's not likely to help. EMDR can help to a certain degree. Brainspotting can help to a certain degree, but it's not going to completely eliminate the empty spaces left within that person as well as helping them get to a better attachment style that's more healthy and secure, right? So I wanted to first use this video as an introduction to the acronym itself, to the lady who developed it, and then I will do a lot more follow-up videos on specific steps and protocols and why it is vital to do this type of healing before going into EMDR and Brainspotting. We can do EMDR and Brainspotting after we do the DNMS protocols, because after that, you will have the foundation for healthy and secure attachment with others. You will have developed a way to meet unmet childhood needs as an adult within yourself interpersonally. And those are really big gaps that if we don't pay attention to and don't put energy into or explore fully, EMDR, it'll only help so much, if that makes sense. So DNMS is a very significant complement to the trauma processing. And in my opinion, it is part of the trauma processing. It's just the step that needs to happen before we go into the EMDR and Brainspotting. So I hope you learned something. This is just a very short introduction video on what's to come in, I guess you can call it a series of the next steps. What does developmental needs meeting strategy really mean? And what are the steps that go into it? So stay tuned, and I hope that we can all learn a little something about ourselves through this process and continue that healing journey. Thank you for checking in with your wellness. I will see you soon.